my name is Crystal Rivera. I live in Winter Garden, Florida, and I'm 39 years old.
Crystal, can you tell me when you were diagnosed with MS?
I was diagnosed in November of 2004.
And did you have symptoms before that?
Yes, over the past years, I'd had symptoms over the years and would go to doctors, and they would always misdiagnose me with different things like anxiety, panic attacks, or like my legs went numb one time and they did nothing, and so
What else? Any other diagnoses? I mean, did that go on for a long time?
it was off and on over the years. It wasn't continuous, but it was off and on, and they would always tell me it was like all in my head, or that it was something else, or panic anxiety attacks, or that it was nothing. It was just all in my head.
Had they done MRI? Any MRIs or CAT scans or anything?
Nope, not in the past.
Nothing. They just said it was all in your head and go
Mhm.
home. And what kind of medication were they giving you?
They had me on like stuff for like Zoloft and Klonopin for panic and anxiety attacks.
Anything else?
Nope,
And what about for pain? What were they giving you?
nothing for pain.
Nothing for pain.
No.
So you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Mhm.
And what kind of shape were you in when you got diagnosed?
I was in pretty bad shape at that point in time. I was still working, and I found out that I was getting more tired every day and would have to come home and take a nap and sleep to make it through the day, and then get up. And then I started getting pains in my back and my neck. And then I went for a week still working with being numb from my chest all the way down to my feet.
What type of work did you do?
I was working at a brochure distribution center, driving a van, going to the hotels and stuff, putting in the attraction brochures and the
Right.
things.
So you were driving around and you were numb from the chest down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what happened then?
Then I went to my regular doctor to find out what was going on, and he just did test MRI and x-rays from the waist down, and of course came back with nothing, which I knew. So I figured it was maybe a pinched nerve or something, so I went to a chiropractor. He did x-rays, MRIs, and then I went back, and when he got the results, and he told me, he said that I had a mass like entwined in my spine, and he said he couldn't touch me until I found out what it was. And so he referred me to a neurologist, which he got me into the next day. He did some more MRIs, lumbar puncture and everything, and came to the MRI didn't show the MS, it showed the transverse myelitis. But when he did the lumbar puncture, that did come back positive for MS.
Do you have any lesions?
He said that it showed more in my spine, and nothing had showed on my brain yet. So
Oh, thank God for that.
yeah, exactly.
So you were at the neurologist, and did they put you on medication?
Yeah, they started me on steroids, put me in the hospital, did the lumbar puncture, started me on steroids. And
How long were you on steroids for?
it was like a week, 2 weeks, because I was in it on the hospital and then came home on it for
Mhm.
a little while longer. And nasty stuff.
What did steroids do to you?
Oh, it made me feel really weird and hot all the time, and just
Hungry.
yeah, and hot flashes and sweaty, and I got rash, like an itchy rash from it, and it was not fun.
Right, and then after the steroids, were you put on medication?
Yeah, then he started me on the beta serum injections, which I did every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did that for 8 months, and then I ended up getting a cellulitis infection in my right upper thigh, and was put in bed for 3 months last summer because of that, because it was so painful and I couldn't walk, and then they ended up having to do surgery on it to drain the fluid out of it, and then it finally put me on, I think they put me on like antibiotics and stuff, and then it finally went away after.
When you were on the beta-seron, what kind of side effects were you having from that?
The flu-like symptoms, just, you know, feeling tired all the time, not feeling good, just, you know. Not
Let me
feeling
understand this. You didn't feel good, so you got put on all these drugs that made you feel worse,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Right.
And when you went to the neurologist, did you feel like it gave you much hope for your future?
No,
No.
no, not at all.
He just said, this is all we have to offer you, and you'll be lucky. And oh, and by the way, what was your diagnosis?
Oh, it was secondary progressive MS and transverse myelitis.
Tell me how this affected your life. Before you know, when you first started feeling badly, you were working full time.
Mm-hmm.
You have how many children?
3. I have 3 teenagers.
Right. And so you were a very active person. I'm sure you were working, keeping your house, taking care of your kids, driving them to all the places they had to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did everything, from working full time to taking care of the house, cleaning, you know, very active, running around, you know, not sitting still, doing things. I used to do crafts and, you know, I used to do a lot of different things, and then once I got diagnosed, it was like, boom, nothing.
And what about physically? Your activity went from running around to what happened to your activity? You were in a wheelchair?
Yeah, I started out with a walker, and then went to a regular wheelchair for a while. And then I ended up getting an electric chair also, which I had to use.
How did you manage being in a wheelchair? I mean, obviously you couldn't stand at all.
Very little.
So you needed help transferring.
Right. Yeah. My husband, he, you know, was around. He was working part-time at that time, and he would help. And then other people, that family members would come over and help, and my dad.
So how did you find out about LDN?
Well, after I had gotten the infection in my leg, and I told myself I was not going to go through that again, and I don't like needles or injections anyways, so I started looking online and thinking there's got to be something else. There's got to be something that's in pill form. So I started researching and started talking to other people, kept seeing LDN, and I kept asking questions and researching and talking to people, and this went on for probably 2 or 3 months, and then finally I decided that I was convinced, because when you hear about it, it sometimes actually seems like it's one of those too good to be true things. But I finally got convinced to ask my neurologist about it. So when I went to him, I printed a bunch of information, and I had done my whole research, so I knew what I was talking about. So if he asked me questions, I went there to my appointment, asked him if he'd known about it, and he said no, he'd never heard of it. So I explained everything to him, showed him the information, so he knew what I was talking about, what it did, what it was for, everything. And he told me to give him 2 days to look over the information, and he says, and I'll call you back and give you an answer. So 2 days later, he called me back. He said, it looks good. He says, we'll give it a try.
So how long have you been on LDN?
I started taking it on September 3rd of 2005 last year.
And how long did it take before you really started feeling better?
Well, I felt effects from it the very first night, because I had gone off like the Vicodin, so I was in a lot of pain and hadn't been. I wasn't on anything for pain then. And the very first night I took it, it took a lot of that pain away, and then I was able to sleep better. And then as time went by, over certain days, I was able to move around better. I was able to walk better. You know,
got out of your wheelchair.
yeah, get out of the wheelchair, was able to get up and walk around and move, and then started being able to do little, you know, things a little bit at a time around the house like I used to, and go out and walk. And I couldn't drive for a while either, and then was able to start driving again and being able to go, you know, to the store on my own or whatever.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep. So I was really, really surprised, you know, once I got convinced that, and I got on it, that, and started taking it, that it really, really does work. It makes a big difference. And I believe that if it wasn't for the LDN, that I would still be, or in a lot worse shape than what I am.
And you become an activist for LDN. You're out there
Mm-hmm.
pushing on everybody that will hear about it.
Yep, I do. I tell everybody and anybody I can. I started my own website after I was diagnosed, because when I was searching for information on MS and transverse myelitis, I had to go through tons of different websites. So I came up with the idea that, well, if I can't do anything else but just sit here, then I could use the laptop. I started my own website and put all the different links to everything and combined it all onto one, so it would be easier for other people looking for information.
And you started your own e-newsletter that you send out once a month?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just a few months back, I started the e-newsletter, and I have probably, I think now, a little over 50 people signed up for that.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
That's wonderful. And you're moving?
Yeah, I'm moving to Maine this weekend, so going back up to family. I haven't seen in probably about 10 years.
When you were going through all this, you know, when you were diagnosed, did you get any support from the MS Society?
No, nuh-uh. None at all. You know, because I'd heard some good things, but bad things also, and I just, and then I didn't get any support from them at all.
I think that you're really lucky that your doctor was patient and nice enough to at least look at the information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to get back to this. The last time you went to the doctor, can you tell me what happened?
Oh, I went to my May 22nd, last month. I went to have a checkup at my neurologist, and he checked me out, did, you know, all his little things, and I asked him, since I had been on the LDN for 8 months, how he thought I was doing, and he told me that he thought I was doing great. He said, you're doing wonderful. He was very excited, and I've also referred him to like 2 or 3 other people that he is now also prescribing LDN to. I just recently changed and went to another neurologist, and because he hadn't seen me before,
Right.
he had only seen me what I am
Oh.
now. So the second one, because my insurance changed, so I went to the second
Right.
one, and he told me that he's like, well, I have good news and bad news. He said that they had missed my diagnosis of secondary progressive MS wasn't right, because I had been on the LDN and he hadn't seen me the way I was before.
Right. So you just think it's because he's just seeing
Mhm.
a person who looks really good right now, looks healthy and
Right.
everything else.
And he hadn't seen my records from the other doctor.
Right. So he'll get a hold of him and he'll go, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be very surprised.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people contacting me, you know, because I started an LDN doctor list for the U.S. and for other countries to help other people. So I've had people contacting me to try to help them find doctors. That's another thing in Maine. When I move, I'm going to have to find one up there, and on my list I don't have any. So if I can talk into it down here, I can talk to some up there. Oh, the Transverse Myelitis Association. I emailed them my website and told them about LDN, and the president of the Transverse Myelitis Association contacted me asking me all kinds of questions about the LDN. I sent him a bunch of information, and he was like so excited, and he actually referred me to somebody from Croatia, which is a friend that was diagnosed with transverse myelitis, and they contacted me in email to see if I can help them find a doctor. So it makes me feel good, you know, even though I'm in the position I am and I'm sick also. But
yeah, but you're helping other people.
Right.
You're not just sitting around feeling bad about yourself.
Right.
You said, you know, I'm not 100%, but I can help other people, and I know that
Exactly.
people appreciate what you do out there.
Mhm. Yeah, there's other ways I can put my energy and my heart out there to help others.
Mhm.
And it makes me feel good and makes, you know, them feel good. And
Can't believe I got there. Did you ever